Look at the sun. Don't stare, just glance. You've been told a lie about that light hitting your retina. Textbooks tell you those photons left the sun 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. They tell you light traveled 93 million miles through the empty void of space to reach you. They tell you it was a journey. Wrong. That is a human lie. That is a story we tell ourselves because we are trapped in time. But for the light, there was no journey. There was no 8 minutes. There was no distance. To that photon, the surface of the burning sun and the back of your eyeball are touching. They are the exact same place. The moment it was born was the exact same moment it died. It experienced zero time, not a microsecond, zero, which means light doesn't travel at all. It is frozen in an eternal now. So if light doesn't experience time, how does it move? And if it's trapped in a single instant, why are we the ones getting older? The answer breaks the laws of freedom. Let me show you. We need to fix your definition of speed. When I say speed of light, you picture a photon racing a Ferrari. You picture something moving from point A to point B really, really fast. Stop. That is the wrong mental image. The speed of light, c, isn't a speed at all. It's a limit, but not like a speed limit on a highway where a cop pulls you over if you go too fast. It's a limit of reality. Imagine you are walking north. You can walk north slowly. You can run north, but you cannot walk norther than north. Once you are facing exactly north, that is the limit of the direction. That is what c is. It is the maximum speed at which information can affect causality in the universe. Here's the part nobody tells you. Light doesn't decide to travel at this speed. It is forced to. In our universe, space and time are not two different things. They are threads in the same fabric. We call it spacetime, and there is a strict exchange rate between them. Think of it like a currency exchange. $1 US equals 0.9 euros. In physics, 1 second of time equals 300,000 kilometers of space. That is the exchange rate. That is c. Every object in the universe, you, me, this screen, the stars, is moving through space-time at a constant combined speed. We are all hurtling through the four-dimensional fabric at exactly the speed of light. Right now. You are doing it right now. But because you are sitting still in your chair, you are using all that motion to travel through time. You are moving towards tomorrow at maximum velocity. But if you stand up and start walking, you are diverting some of that motion into space. And because you have a fixed budget, the speed of light, if you use some speed for space, you have to subtract it from time. This is the trade-off. The faster you move through space, the slower you must move through time. It's not a choice. It's a mathematical law. So what happens if you go all in? What happens if you take every ounce of your speed and pour it 100% into space? You would have nothing left for time. Your clock wouldn't just slow down. It would break. Let's break the clock. Literally. You've heard of time dilation. Maybe you've seen Interstellar. Usually, physics teachers make this sound like a neat party trick. It is not a party trick. It is horrifying. Close your eyes and imagine this. You have a twin. You stay here on Earth. Your twin gets into a spaceship capable of reaching 99.9% of the speed of light. They fly to a star 50 light years away and come back. To you, waiting on Earth, 100 years pass. You grow old. You die. Your grandchildren grow old. It's a century of waiting. But for your twin, they didn't feel 100 years. To them, the trip only took a few weeks. They step out of the ship, still young, skin smooth, hair dark. They held their breath for a century of Earth time without even trying. Wait, how? Remember our currency exchange? Your twins spent almost all their motion budget on space. They were moving so fast through the physical universe that they had almost no motion left to move through time. Their internal clock, their heartbeat, their cells dividing, their thoughts, slowed down relative to yours. The math is brutal. It looks like this. T prime equals T 1 minus C2 V2. Don't let the symbols scare you. Just look at the logic. As your velocity, v, gets closer and closer to light speed, c, the time you experience, t prime, shrinks. Here is where your intuition fails. This isn't an illusion. It's not that the clock looks like it's running slow. It actually is running slow. If you drive your car past the school, the clock in your dashboard is ticking slower than the clock on the school wall. It's just too small to notice. But GPS satellites, they move fast enough that engineers have to program them to account for this. If they didn't, Google Maps would be wrong by kilometers within a single day. So, speed kills time. We know this. But now, let's push it. Let's floor the gas pedal. What happens if you don't go 99%? What if you go 100%? What if you hit C? Plug that into the equation. V becomes equal to C. You get 1 minus 1, which is 0. The square root of 0 is 0. Time stops. Not slows down, stops. If you could ride a beam of light, you wouldn't see the universe age. You wouldn't see clocks ticking. The concept of waiting would vanish. But this creates a massive paradox. If time stops, how can you go anywhere? Speed is distance divided by time. S equals d2t. If time is 0, doesn't that make the equation impossible? How can light cross the universe if it has no time to do it? The answer is simple, and it breaks your brain. Speed doesn't just murder time, it also murders space. We just learned that speed kills time, but what nobody tells you is that it also kills space. Welcome to length contraction. It's the evil twin of time dilation. Usually you picture a spaceship flying past Earth. As it goes faster, time inside the ship slows down. We get that. But here is the trick. From the spaceship's perspective, it is standing still. Earth is the one flying past at 99.9% the speed of light. And because Earth is moving so fast relative to the ship, Earth squishes. I don't mean it looks squished. I mean physical reality contracts. If you could see Earth flying past at 99.9%, see, it wouldn't be a sphere. It would be a pancake, a flat 2D disk. The distance from the North Pole to the South Pole would shrink to almost nothing. Stop. You are thinking, that's just an optical illusion. Wrong. It is physically real. The atoms themselves get closer together in the direction of motion. The electric fields squish. The protons and neutrons flatten. If you tried to fit Earth through a hula hoop while it was moving that fast, it would fit sideways like a coin in a slot. Now apply this to the universe. Remember that star your twin traveled to? The one 50 light years away? To you on Earth, the distance is fixed. It is 50 light years of empty space, a huge uncrossable void. But to your twin on the spaceship moving at 99.9% C, that distance isn't 50 light years anymore. Because they are moving so fast, the entire universe in front of them contracts. Space itself shrinks. For them, the journey might only be a few light weeks long. They don't just experience less time, they physically travel less distance. The faster they go, the more the universe flattens in front of them. At 99.99999% the speed of light, the entire galaxy becomes as thin as a piece of paper. You could step across it in a single stride. This is where your intuition fails. You think speed helps you cover distance faster. No, speed literally deletes the distance. It folds space like an accordion. So let's take this to the absolute limit. Let's go 100%. What happens to distance when you hit c? If you plug v equals a c into the length contraction formula, L minus equals L1 minus C2, V2, you get 0. L mime becomes 0. At the speed of light, length contraction is infinite. The entire universe in the direction of motion shrinks to a single point with 0 thickness. Think about what that means. If you are a photon of light, there is no here and there. There is no distance between the start and the finish line. The entire journey is instant because the distance is literally 0. So, if distance is 0, does light even move? Or is it doing something far stranger? Let's do the "do this right now" moment. Hold your hand up to the sky. Look at the blue. That light traveled 93 million miles. It took 8 minutes and 20 seconds. It bounced around inside the sun for 100,000 years before escaping. That is our story. That is the story of a clock watcher on Earth. Now, become the photon. Become that tiny packet of energy. The moment you are born in the fusion core of the sun, you are instantly moving at c, not accelerating, instantly. Because you are moving at c, time for you is 0. T prime equals 0. Because you are moving at c, distance for you is 0. L prime equals 0. There is no 93 million miles. There is no 8 minutes. From your perspective, the moment you are created is the exact same moment you hit the back of the human eye. The birth of the photon and the death of the photon are simultaneous events. They happen at the same time, because time is frozen, and in the same place, because space is contracted to 0. Think about this. To a photon, the entire universe is a single point of contact. It doesn't experience a journey. It doesn't fly through space. It simply exists at the emission point and the absorption point at once. It's like a thread connecting 2 points on a piece of fabric. If you fold the fabric so the points touch, the thread has no length. That is the photon's reality. This is why physicists say light has a null geodesic. That's a fancy way of saying its path through space-time has 0 length. Now, imagine a photon from a galaxy 13 billion light-years away. To us, that light is ancient. We see a ghost of the past. We say, wow, that light traveled for 13 billion years. But to that photon, it was emitted by a star in a distant galaxy and instantly absorbed by your telescope mirror. It experienced 0 time. It didn't age. It didn't change. It didn't get tired. It connected the beginning of the universe to your eye in a single, timeless instant. Here is where your intuition fails. We think of light as a traveler, a messenger running a marathon across the cosmos. But light is not a traveler. Light is a connection. It is a bridge that instantly links 2 points in space-time. The speed of light isn't a speed. It's the infinite contraction of the universe into a single point of interaction. So if light experiences no time, how does it change? How can it have a frequency? How can it be red or blue? Because frequency is vibration over time, cycles per second. If time is 0 for a photon, how can it vibrate? How can it have a second to have cycles per? If its clock is stopped, shouldn't its frequency be frozen too? This is the paradox that breaks most people's understanding of relativity. And the answer is hidden in the very thing we just deleted, the observer. We just broke your brain. We said light experiences zero time. But wait, frequency is cycles per second, hertz, vibrations. If time is zero for a photon, how can it vibrate? If a photon is frozen in a single instant, how can it be red or blue? How can it have energy if frequency depends on time? Stop. You are thinking about it like a wave in a pond. You are imagining a little wiggly line moving through space. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. But that wiggly line requires time to wiggle. If you freeze time, the wave stops. It becomes a static shape, a frozen ripple. So how does light have a color if it's frozen? Here is the secret. The frequency doesn't belong to the photon. The frequency belongs to the interaction. It belongs to the relationship between the emitter, the sun, and the absorber, your eye. Think about a spring, a slinky. If you stretch a slinky between two people, it has a certain number of coils. Let's say 100 coils. That number of coils is fixed. It's a geometric fact of the universe. But if the person holding one end starts running towards you, the coils get squished together. If they run away, the coils get stretched out. To the slinky itself, it's just a slinky. It doesn't care. It connects A to B. But to you catching the slinky, the coils are arriving faster or slower depending on the relative motion. This is the Doppler effect. When a star moves away from us, its light is redshifted. The waves get stretched out. When it moves towards us, it's blue shifted. The waves get squished. But the photon itself, it experienced zero time. It didn't stretch during the journey. The journey didn't exist for it. The redshift happens because the emitter and the absorber are moving relative to each other in space-time. The photon is just the messenger that carries the information about that relationship. So the color of light isn't the property of the light itself in isolation. It's a property of the measurement. It's like asking, how fast is a baseball moving? Well, relative to what? The pitcher, the batter, the ground? The baseball has no intrinsic speed. It only has speed relative to an observer. Light has no intrinsic frequency. It only has frequency relative to an observer's clock. And since the photon has no clock of its own, it has no internal sense of time to measure its own vibration against. It is a timeless entity connecting 2 points in space-time, carrying energy from one to the other. So if light connects points instantly, why do we see it take time? Why do we have to wait 8 minutes for sunlight? Why do we see galaxies as they were billions of years ago? If the photon experiences zero time, why do we experience billions of years? The answer is terrifying. It means we are trapped in a prison that light can ignore. We need to rethink the word travel. We say light travels 300,000 kilometers per second. But we just established that for the photon, the distance is zero and the time is zero. So if the distance is zero, it doesn't move. Stop. Think about what travel means. Travel implies a journey. It implies a process. Step 1, step 2, step 3. But for a photon, there is only step 1, emission, and step 2, absorption. And they are the same step. It is emission-absorption, a single event. The photon is not a particle flying through space. It is a handshake. It is a connection between two electrons. One electron in the sun wiggles. It loses energy. Another electron in your retina wiggles. It gains energy. And the photon is simply the mechanism that transfers that energy from A to B. It doesn't carry the energy like a UPS truck driving down the highway. It is the transfer. Here is where your intuition fails. We think of light as a thing in space, like a bullet. But maybe light isn't in space. Maybe light skips space. Maybe the reason it moves at the speed of light, the cosmic speed limit, is because it is bypassing the geometry of space-time entirely. It is taking a shortcut through a higher dimension where points A and B are touching. Remember the wormhole scene in Interstellar? Fold the paper, poke a hole with a pencil. That is what a photon does. It doesn't travel across the paper, it travels through the fold. But we are stuck on the flat paper. We are 3D beings stuck in 4D space-time. So to us, the photon seems to take a long, arduous journey across the universe. We see it cross the void. We measure the time it takes. We see the redshift. But that is our perspective. That is the perspective of beings trapped in time. To the photon, it just teleported. It ceased to exist at point A and instantly began existing at point B. The journey is an illusion created by our own limitations. This changes everything. It means the speed of light isn't about speed, it's about connectivity. C is the rate at which the universe communicates with itself. It is the refresh rate of reality. And if light is the refresh rate, then what are we? We are the lagging pixels. We are the slow-loading textures. We are the ones stuck buffering while the universe updates instantly. So, if light can teleport, why can't we? Why are we stuck here, plodding along at slow speeds, aging and dying, while photons dance across eternity? Because we are made of something else, something heavy, something slow, something that hates speed. We just learned that light teleports. It skips the waiting room of the universe. So why are we stuck in the waiting room? Why can't we be photons? Why can't we ride a beam of light to the Andromeda galaxy and arrive instantly? Because we have a fatal flaw: mass. You are made of heavy, stubborn stuff. Protons, neutrons, electrons. You have inertia. You resist change. To accelerate you requires energy. To accelerate you to C would require infinite energy, because as you speed up, your mass effectively increases. As you approach the speed of light, you become infinitely heavy. You become an unmovable object. So you can never reach C. You can never teleport. You are condemned to move through time. But light? Light has no mass. It has energy, yes, but it has zero rest mass. Because it has no mass, it cannot move slower than C. Think about that. It's not a choice. A photon is born at C, it lives at C, it dies at C. It cannot slow down, it cannot stop and smell the roses. It is a slave to the speed of light. Here is the twist. We think of light as free. It zooms around the universe unrestricted. But light is actually the most restricted thing in existence. It has only one speed. It has only one path, a straight line through curved space-time. It has only one destiny, absorption. We can speed up. We can slow down. We can stop. We can turn left. We can turn right. We can change our minds. We have freedom because we have mass. Our mass anchors us in time. It forces us to experience duration. It forces us to wait. But that waiting gives us something light doesn't have. It gives us a life. Light experiences everything at once. Birth and death are simultaneous. We experience a sequence: birth, childhood, first love, heartbreak, old age, death. We get to have a story. Light gets only a single instantaneous event. So in a way, we are the lucky ones. We are the ones who get to experience the universe unfolding. But there is a catch. Because we are stuck in time, we are also stuck in causality. We just learned that we are lucky. We get to have a story. But that story is written in ink that cannot be erased. Because light moves instantly for itself, but takes time for us, it creates a prison called the now. Close your eyes and imagine the sun exploded. Right now, boom! For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, you would have no idea. You would still see the sun shining. You would feel its warmth. The gravity would still hold Earth in orbit. Everything would be normal. But the sun is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. For 8 minutes, you are living in a ghost world, a past that no longer exists. You are trapped in a bubble of causality. Here is where your intuition fails. We think now is universal. We think now means the same thing everywhere. Wrong. There is no universal now. Your now is different from the sun's now. It is different from the Andromeda galaxy's now. You can only know what light has told you, and light takes time to reach you. So you are always living in the past. When you look at your hand, you are seeing it as it was a nanosecond ago. When you look at the moon, you see it 1.3 seconds ago. When you look at the stars, you see them years ago. You are never seeing the universe as it is. You are seeing a delayed broadcast. You are trapped in a sphere of causality defined by the speed of light. Nothing outside that sphere can affect you. Nothing inside that sphere can affect anything outside it faster than light can travel. This is the causality cage. C isn't just a speed limit. It is the wall of your prison cell. It defines the boundaries of your reality. It dictates what you can know, what you can influence, and when you can influence it. If the sun explodes, you are safe for 8 minutes. You are blissfully ignorant because the information literally cannot reach you. It hasn't happened for you yet. But once that light hits you, game over. The delay vanishes. The reality crashes in. The cage closes. So if light defines our prison and we are stuck inside, is there any escape? Is there any way to break the speed limit? To cheat the system? To send a message faster than light? Is there an escape? Can we break the speed limit? Can we cheat the system? No. You can never go faster than light. You can never break the causality cage. But here is the final secret, the one that changes everything. You don't want to. We look at light and we feel jealous. We see it zipping across the universe, timeless, ageless, instant. We feel slow. We feel trapped in our heavy bodies, ticking away our seconds until we die. But that trap is the only reason you exist. Time is not a curse. It is a canvas. Without the delay of light speed, there is no before and after. There is no cause and effect. Without time, there is no music. A melody requires one note to follow another. If you played a symphony at the speed of light, it would be a single deafening crash of noise. Without time, there is no thought. A brain needs time to process, to learn, to love, to remember. Light has none of that. Light is trapped in an eternal frozen instant. It has speed, but it has no life. It is the currency of the universe, but it cannot buy anything. So look at your hand one last time. You are made of stardust that slowed down. You are energy that condensed into matter so that it could experience the passage of time. You are the universe experiencing itself in slow motion, and that is beautiful. We are prisoners of time, yes, but it is a golden prison. It is the only place where stories can happen. So the next time you look up at a star, don't pity yourself for being small. Don't envy the light for being fast. Pity the light, because it will never know what it feels like to wait for a sunrise. If you want to understand the bars of this cage even better, or if you just want to know why gravity is also a lie, click that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next instant.